Yo, what up? It's your boy, JJ Stone, aka O Doctor, and this is a new old episode of DocTales. Just to let you know, Ant's life has changed dramatically in the last 2 years since we did this. I lost this episode. I lost a bunch of episodes. I found this one, so I'm going to rewatch it today after I post it, so it'll be fresh to me like it is to you. And I'll be linking up a lot of stuff. Ant's got new stuff going on, so make sure you check out in the information and that and find him and follow him. Great dude, solid individual. And yeah, DocTales is going to be coming back. I got some interviews lined up and some guests coming along. So hit the subscribe button on YouTube. That's where it's going to be at for right now. I'm redoing my podcast. So just hit me up on YouTube, subscribe, follow. We're here in these streets. All right, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy the show. Yo, what up? It's your boy, JJ Stone, a.k.a. O Doctor. Welcome to DocTales, episode 20. I usually describe the level of friendship I have with my guests. This is what I call an internet friend, but we're also part of the Brothers United on the internet as all bald black men look alike brigade. Say hi to the people, Ant.
Hey, what's happening, people? Y'all doing all right?
So, you're someone I've never met in person.
Right.
But we've known each other on the internet. I've seen you on Tech Republic and things like that. And like I said, sometimes people confuse you with me. I used to get confused with Baratunde. You're kind of an upgrade because at least you don't have any hair.
It's getting closer, right?
Yeah. So like when Baratunde would be on Twit, I get all these at mentions. Oh, you killed it on Twit. And I was like, I was on Twit. And then vice versa. When I'm on there, people be atting Baratunde. And I'm like, man.
It's so sad. It's the state of the country today, my man.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's getting better. It hasn't happened in a while, but I'm like, we literally say our names a bunch of times during the show. How could you even think that I'm Baratunde Thurston? So I always find that amusing. So basically how this show works is I ask you questions that only you know the answers to.
Right.
Because you're you.
Right.
So where were you born?
I will just say for an internet security standpoint, I was born in the state of South Carolina. That's it.
Okay. I appreciate that. That's close enough. So by the way, you see me wearing orange for you, brother. I knew you.
Now that's what's up.
I knew you'd have some kind of orange on. I knew you'd have that tiger rocket.
Of course, man. So Saturday, of course.
Yeah. So I figured I'd throw in one of my orange polos for you, brother. I mean, solidarity.
What's up, See, we're traveling on the road today, so I always wear gray when the team is on the road. Okay. So, but that's what's up, man. I appreciate the love.
Yeah, man. It's the little things, man. It's the little things. So speaking of that, did you go to that school? What's your alma mater?
I did not go to Clemson University. I just grew up nearby there. So in the state of South Carolina, from a sports standpoint, it's pretty limited. Mm-hmm. And you're either all in or all out when it comes to the teams there. So you have Clemson University, you have the University of South Carolina, you have the Citadel and Furman and other smaller schools. But as far as the big schools, it's those two, Clemson and South Carolina. And I grew up just down the road from Clemson University. So I didn't know anything else, period.
Yeah. Proximity is a good answer for sports fandom.
Yep.
I can't stand people out here like, oh, I'm a Cowboys fan. Ain't never been to Texas, let alone Dallas, let alone a Cowboys game. And I'm like, how are you a Cowboys fan? Like oh, my dad. Has your dad been to Texas? Like,
But see, you're in Pennsylvania near Philadelphia, right?
Yes, and that's tricky too. So
the difference.
I'm South Jersey, so I'm Philly.
Oh, okay.
See, I'm South Jersey. It's the same thing. Like we technically don't have a sports team.
Yeah.
So South Jersey is Eagles. Central and North Jersey is either Giants or Jets.
Or the Jets. See, that's how it is here in South Carolina because we didn't have pro sports forever until, the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So everybody in South Carolina and North Carolina migrated towards first Dallas Cowboys, or second the Redskins, and then third the Falcons. And then as far as colleges, it was whatever you had in your state kind of thing.
Yeah.
So even though we have the Carolina Panthers here now, the toughest ticket to get each time is a Redskins, Cowboys, or a Falcons ticket, because there's so many fans that are still latching on to their childhood. They want to support the local team, but their childhood still wins out.
Yeah. That's interesting how that works out. So what was your favorite subject in school?
It's a tough one. Because I bounced between math and science, but I guess they both sort of go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. Like if you're good at math, you're good at science. If you're good at science, you're good at math, and so they kind of work together.
Now, granted, chemistry did make me want to retire from the science world, but overall, I still like digging into science and digging into more so along the human body aspect. I love biology, kinese, and anatomy and phys. I love all that. I originally went to school to be a athletic trainer, so I studied sports medicine for 2 years. But then I quit school, went back to school, and I ended up in information technology.
One doesn't go with the other per se.
Not even close. It's not even close.
Like the skills don't translate. I gotta retrain my brain to.
Dude, I'm going to tell you how it happened. I'm going to tell you how it happened. It's I was working my job at the time almost 20 years ago, and I left to go home, stopped to get some gas, and as I'm pumping gas, I'm looking at the little gas pump there, and it's connected to the station inside. There was a lady right across from me on a cell phone. There was another person on a cell phone. And I'm like, all of this stuff is connected together. I want a piece of that pie. And told my wife that night, I'm going back to school and I'm going to get an IT. And that was it.
That's an interesting way for it to go down. That's an interesting way for it to go, because, it's, I don't know. It's
everybody was capitalizing on it. I'm like, shoot, I want to get in on this, and this was back in like 2005, something like that.
Okay, so you got in the game early enough to where you could see it coming down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew it was a big deal when I was in high school, and my dad was in a horrible situation. He turned himself around. He went to technical school in like 98 or 97.
Mm-hmm.
And he built me a computer, and all my friends were at my house doing their homework.
Yeah.
Because I was like one of the only ones with a computer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, before I had a electric typewriter where you could actually see the words on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like a couple friends that would come over. We had to type papers up, and they type with me. But as soon as I got a computer, everybody was like, "Oh man, you got a computer," and I'm like, "It doesn't do anything."
Yeah. See, and I remember my mom having a computer back in the mid '90s. It was a Packard Bell, I believe, and it just blew my mind how big that thing was and the limitations it had. But at the same time, it had all of this so-called potential and get these floppy disks. And I taught myself how to type on it because it came with some type of typing tutor.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And then they eventually bought me my own computer, quote unquote. And it was a Aquarius. Yeah, it's by Mattel. And you just plug it into the TV. But that thing just blew my mind. I had this little book of programs, and you type in the programs and make it do this and that or whatever. And so I knew when I decided to get into IT how much I was into just tinkering around with little stuff like that, because I'd been doing it for so long,
Yeah, and once you see everybody else doing it, that's when you know that it's like legit. Because that was the other thing too, unless you were like an uber nerd and working in a law firm or a data center, there weren't that many jobs where it was like, oh, you could do this full time. It was more like, oh, you're the guy in the office that knows computers? Cool.
Right.
we're not gonna call somebody out. Can you fix this kind of deal? So it's crazy, like how things just totally shifted. And I feel like now looking back on it, it flipped really quick. Like you said, like when you had that feeling around 2005, when you're just looking at everybody like, oh, wow, okay. Because, I was like one of the first people to have a cell phone.
Yeah.
2 years later, everybody has a cell phone. I'm like, oh, man, okay, that was quick. Like, as we feel looking back on it, it turned over really fast to where now it's just a saturated market. And I feel like nothing's changing.
Well, back then the innovation leaps were had a wider gap, but now we're sort of stagnating a little bit, and I don't think that's at the fault of the tech companies. It's just, right now it's hardware can only do so much.
Yeah.
And the ideas that people can come up with right now, they're so far fetched. We can't necessarily get to them as fast as we could, 20 years ago with the idea of having a mobile communication device. That was a little easier compared to the stuff that they're trying to do now. And you get people like Elon Musk shooting for the moon and things like that. And that's fine and dandy. But what is that doing right now for the common man?
He's shooting past the moon. This fool keeps lying about Mars, which I just talked about on the last episode with Megan Maroney about how our kids they love him and they want to go to Mars. And I'm like, tell your kids we ain't going to Mars. Crush their dreams right now. Like, stop it.
Look here, if they want to go to Mars, go ahead and go. I'm all for it. Y'all can go. I'll stay here.
my thing is just use some of these massively large brain resources to fix what we have right now.
Yeah.
And turn it around. But that's just me and my grumpy old man get off my lawn complaint.
I have my moments like that.
About Elon Musk. Have you ever been in a fight?
Have I ever been in a fight? I don't know if you can call it a fight because I hit the guy twice and that was in the story.
Well, that's a fight and you won. Ding,
okay.
Ding. Winner, chicken dinner. Oh, that's technically
reaction.
Once hands are thrown in connection, that is technically a fight. And since you won, we won't even say his name to embarrass the guy. It's just, but that it's through a 2-piece and it was over. So don't mess with Ant.
I can't remember the dude's name, but I knew it was a reaction and it was a quick reaction, and that was in the story.
When was it? Do you remember when it was?
I was in middle school, I believe. I think I was in like the 8th grade.
You see that? Shut them down in middle school. They never mess with Ant again. Do that, man. You remember Ant threw that 2-piece, man? I ain't gonna mess with him, man. He threw that 2-piece. He got it, man. I ain't gonna happen to me. He lumped him up. You know what I'm saying? So,
and the thing is, I wasn't the cool kid or anything like that, so I was always an easy target for people to pick on me. But for whatever reason, that day it struck a different nerve, and I reacted. And it was, like I said, it was so quick.
Yeah. Grand opening, grand closing. Did you play sports?
I did.
What were your sports?
Football, basketball, and track. And football was I guess you can say that was my money maker because that's how I was able to get into school. But I loved all three. Football is my number one, though.
Yeah. What did you do in track?
I ran the hurdles, and I was a jumper.
Okay. And got them pops. Okay, got that bounce. Okay.
Man, I loved it. I loved it. Track helped me out with football.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what position did you play in football?
I went to school to be a wide receiver, but then they eventually wanted me to be a tight end because I was bigger back then, considering for wide receiver size. But I played defense and all that stuff too. I was an outside linebacker, defensive end, because I was mean. I was nuts, dude. I look back and I have my classmates and stuff. We chit chat every now and then, and some of the stuff they used to say about me, and it's like, dude, we thought you was just gone. We supposedly I changed as soon as I got on the field.
Yeah.
I can admit that because I loved practice as much as I loved game day.
Yeah. Dudes that love practice are really intense about it. I literally call that the Dawkins effect. I'm an Eagle, and Brian Dawkins is Mr. Hallelujah, praise the Lord, all this kind of stuff. But when he get out there on the field and you listen to him, he sounds like a psychopath. Like, he was just like, as soon as he hit that field and it was game time, he wanted to crush it. And as soon as he walked off the field, he's like, wait, that's not the same guy. So, especially if you love practice, you love practice. That's a different kind of intensity about the game. So you liked hitting people is what you're saying.
Hey, man, look, I tell my boys, I have 2 boys, they're finally really into playing football. And I've told them for years, I said, football is the only sport where you can go and knock the hell out of somebody and it's perfectly legal.
Yep.
So
you ain't gotta worry about it.
Just go ahead and enjoy that moment, because there's going to be some days where you just want to knock the hell out of somebody, because the world will piss you off, and you can step across them white lines and just do it. Take pride in it, you know.
Shout out to Nike. Just do it. We
Just
don't
do
have copyrights to that, just so they know they don't come suing us. Yeah, I mean, we out here just using their branding.
Sorry, Nike, my bad.
Man, I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, Nike don't care. They want all the free advertising they could get right now. They happier than a bird right now. So last two things about high school. Did you go to your junior or senior prom?
I went to my senior prom.
Do you remember who you went with?
Yeah, it was my high school sweetheart at the time. And the thing is, I didn't have any desire to go to the prom. Those other years, I had a couple other invites prior to that, but I just didn't think I was popular enough or cool enough or anything like that, and sort of thought I was going to be ridiculed if I had gone prior to the senior year. But I decided to go my senior year just because it was my senior year.
Yeah.
And my high school sweetheart at the time didn't even go to my school. She went to another school on the other side of town.
Oh, so you had one of those girlfriends.
Yeah, so I brought her, and of course.
You ain't got no girlfriend. I do have a girlfriend. She lives 2 towns. She ain't real. And you always talking about this girl. I ain't never seen her. That's what happens when you date somebody out of town. Everybody's always clowning like, man, you ain't got no girlfriend.
And so, it's so true. It's so true until she show up.
Yeah, it's classic. You know what I mean? Like it's just that throughout history, throughout time, to the end of time, that's always going to be the thing. You ain't got no girlfriend because she don't go to our school until you show up. So continue. You decided to go to prom.
I decided to go, and I was taking her, and I remember the riff that I got from all of the classmates that was there, because they'd seen her out and about, like if we had gone out to the mall or something like that, and it's like, well, that must be his girlfriend. It was never a that's his girlfriend. It was a that must be his girlfriend. It's like we don't believe it, that kind of thing. But it was still a fun evening, and I'm glad I did it, even though I wasn't really interested in doing it.
Yeah, I went to 5 proms. I went my freshman year, my sophomore year, my junior year, my senior year, and I went with 4 different girls. I actually went with 5 different girls, so I went to another girl's prom at another school. I was her fake boyfriend. Man, look, when I was a freshman and a junior asked me to prom, I was like, oh, brother, let me get this.
That's the difference between me and you. I was a little skeptical. I was like, man, I'm going to walk in there and they're going to start throwing trash at me or something or whatever.
And your story is weird to me because you were in the sports and you were athletic, but then at the same time, you were like half a nerd, so you was like talking yourself out of things.
The only reason people even gave me a sniff was because I could play ball. Because outside of that, man, I was the most square, uncool brother out there. Period.
Yeah, I was the I'm friends with everybody. I was the I'm never getting
Shocking.
shot in school kid. I was the, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm hanging out with the goth kids. I'm hanging out with the jocks. I used to have lunch up until like sophomore, junior year, from like 3rd grade up. I always ate lunch at the girls' table. Like, you would have thought I was gay.
See?
I was just ahead of the curve because I knew that the girls' table was where it was. Like,
now that's another story. That's college for me.
Okay, that's when you blossomed. You figured out the game.
When I went to college, my high school sweetheart dumped me or whatever, and I got over that. But while I was in college, people thought I was gay because all I hung around was girls, and I'm like, that makes no sense. Now granted, I was able to make some really good friends out of that group, but, prior to those friendships, I was trying to get a date back then, with all of those girls that I knew. But my teammates on the football team thought I was gay, and it sucked.
It's the weirdest thing, because I'm like, in my mind, you think like, okay, I hang out with my boys all the time.
Yeah.
The opportunities I can hang to be around females and learn how females act or talk or think or whatever. Yeah. And then again, it would translate into dates, hookups, or just quality time with somebody who's not a dude.
It's not a dude.
Farting, eating chips and trying to dunk my face into something because they want to trip me in a puddle of water because that's what guys do. You know what I mean? Especially when you hang around white guys. Not the stereotype, but you know what I mean? Back in the day, I don't know if you ever knew like that nut flip thing where they try to flick your nuts. I had to tell all my friends, don't do that stuff to me, bro. I'm not about that life.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
I have a tan. Don't play. I don't play them games. So yeah, hanging around chicks was like, you know, their dorms, their apartments were clean, their cars were clean. They always have food. It was like,
it was great. I had a pretty good life when it came to that, as far as those friendships. I was able to go on trips and whatnot with them, and it was all right.
Yeah, and you're like, why would you want that?
People still thought I was gay. You know?
So hey, I let them think whatever they want to think while I'm rolling where I'm rolling and doing what I'm doing. And then by the time they figured it out, it was already too late. They're like, oh man, no, all the girls. Oh, you know what I mean? Like when I was in middle school and stuff like that, I was the man. That's why I came up with Doctor, because like if you were like beefing with your girl or whatever, they'd be like, yo, have O talk to her. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like I would write dudes poems and stuff like that. And then I played the long con so many times, telling myself. But like, look, so my boy would like, oh, blah blah blah. I messed up my girl. I write a poem. He write a poem. She be like, oh, that's great. A year later, they break up, and I'd be like, man, you know I wrote that poem. You wrote that poem? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I was like, yeah, that was me. I was a horrible friend sometimes, but
none of this surprises me. None of it.
Hey, you gotta play the game where the games get played, brother. That's how it is. So how'd you meet your wife?
Blind date.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
Blind date.
You were in the rare minority of blind dates translating into wife, family, future, love, happiness.
You got that right.
Who set you up on the blind date? Let me know.
This was a coworker of mine at that company I was talking about earlier. And dude, it's a long story, but I'm gonna try to condense it.
Go ahead, we got time.
So when I started working at that company, at the time I was homeless. You know, I was living out of my car.
Shout out to the homeless. I did that too. Okay, keep it going.
Living out of my car for about 3 months prior to that. And I was able to get this job and get the people to allow me to work there or whatever. And they found out, after I started, they found out I was single and this and that. And they befriended me and say, I got a friend, you know, you can meet my friend and yada, yada, yada. And I said, sure, I'll do it. And met her on a blind date, and we went out. And she was by far the most nervous person I've ever seen in my life. It was a little hard trying to get her to open up. She eventually opened up, and we just stayed in touch, and it worked out. And believe it or not, we were married within 3 months.
Wow.
Yep. And so when I hear all of these people talk about, you know, you shouldn't jump and get married and things like that or what have you, I don't question it, because I don't know what they're living. I don't know what they're seeing. I don't know what they're feeling, you know, because I lived through it and I'm fine. And she's somewhere in this house right now. And this is, 2018? This is 17 years later. She still get on my daggum nerves, but I love her with all my heart, you know.
And that's the thing about it, how it works out, because so I'd be one of those people like, man, you crazy, don't do it. But at the same time, there's people that have been together years. You know, I was with the mother of my child for 7 years. We got engaged, we had a baby, and then once we had the baby, our relationship changed and we broke apart. So sitting there waiting, either you think it worked out or we should have did it earlier, maybe I fixed it, but we would end up being divorced. So that's a time period where you're like, oh yeah, you put it in the right time, but things changed. 3 months, you felt how you felt, and it's either going to work or it's not. Whether it's 3 months or 3 years, you know. So I try not to judge people on that either. I might say you crazy, like what are you doing, just to check you, just so you have some kind of balance in your mind. Like, hey, you're right. I really, I mean, I don't even know if she brushed her teeth every morning. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know her schedule. I got to find out her schedule. You right, So, you know, but I don't ever get down on somebody when they do that, and when they do get married. You know what I mean? Wish the best of luck. Next thing you know, 17 years later, they hiding out in their room on a microphone in the middle of the morning, trying not to get yelled at or have a honey-do list thrown at them.
No. See, it's football Saturday, so right now the discussion is, all right, what are we eating today? You know,
There you go.
it's football Saturday. You
See,
know, we not perfect, and I don't claim to be perfect, even though I'm pretty close.
there you go.
And she's not perfect, but we make it work. You know, we do what we do, and we try to balance each other out and lift each other up. You know, but that's the problem that relationships don't seem to have nowadays, is the balance of lifting each other up, even with all of the shortcomings and things like that. When I was on This Week in Google, however many months ago, I was very open about my wife's mental health issues, and that it can be a battle. If for people that haven't lived it, they don't quite understand that it could be a battle to live with mental health issues, as well as be on the outside living with mental health issues. It's hard. When I see her go through things, it hurts, because a lot of times there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
But we deal with it and we get through it, and we might fuss and cuss at each other every now and then and hate each other's guts, but we still fight through it.
And that's the good thing about partnership and having somebody and being with someone. How old are your kids?
Man, everybody asks me that, and I never know. They're the 10th grade. I don't know. They're the 10th grade and 7th grade. I know they're not old enough to get W-2s.
See, I only have the one kid, so I fully understand that, because like sometimes I'll call her 12, sometimes I call her 10, and I know she's 11. She just turned 11, but I feel like she's 30. So,
see, now and then I got my oldest boy. I think he's about to be 21. He's in the Army right now, but I think he's about to be 21. I never know, dude.
Yeah,
I just know that they're not old enough to have a W-2, or they're not around. Yeah, it's.
Did they play sports too? You said they got into football. They play any other sports?
Yeah, my two younger ones. The youngest, his heart is with soccer. He's really good with soccer. This is his first real deal effort with football, and so far he's killing it. He's playing quarterback, and basically he's a running quarterback because he can't throw a lick right now. but he's killing it.
Yeah.
And then my middle boy, he's also with football, but he's a hell of a quarter miler with track. You know, he'll run that 400 meters really well, and he still can work on it, but he's getting a lot better at it, and he's excelling on both sides.
What position is he in football?
He's a running back / slot receiver.
Okay.
You know, and he's one of those tweeners as far as his size. You know, he's not all that big, and he's not terribly fast, but he's strong. You know, I've tried to teach him to, when you get tackled, make sure you're tackled and landing on your stomach and not on your back.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Fall forward.
You know, so he's able to keep himself healthy and build up a little lower body strength and whatnot to help boost his football game. You know.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
6'2".
But my kids are pipsqueaks.
Well, that's the mother of my child is 6 foot, and I like tall women, and all the time they're like, man, why are we trying to? You know what I mean? Like if it's a serious relationship, she's tall. Any girl that's like under 5'6", like I'm just hooking up, hanging out. Like, but if they're over 5'9", that people know as I'm being real with it, because they're like, what are you doing with these tall Amazon girls? I'm like, yo, just in case I fall in love, you can't teach height. You got to breed it in, brother. Yeah, you got to breed height in, brother. You can't teach height. I can teach everything else. I can teach heart, commitment, speed, agility, education, but height, I got to have the bloodline for that, brother. And I'm only 5'11", 6 foot my dang self. So I make sure. Oh no doubt. I will climb that Big Bear Mountain, girl. If you over 5'11", girl, holla at your boy right now in these streets. I don't know if Ant knows any tall women, but I'm here for you, ladies. I'm eyeing up a volleyball player right now. She like 6'2". I'm like, oh, what's your daddy height, girl? Huh? What's up? Where your daddy at? Your daddy 6'4"? Okay.
You checking the lineage?
Oh man, I'm checking the height verbiage. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that's it. Everything else I can deal with. I'm already, if she white, I'm half black. We can check that off. I got Native American in my family. I can check that off. But what I can't check off is a 6'2" average. Now I got a daughter. My daughter's tall and lanky, so
Yeah.
I mean it's still gonna help her too. But just in case I had that prototypical boy, I'm not gonna shortchange him. I'm looking right now. I'm like, look, I did this for you. Okay, you see how tall your mama is? I did this for you. She looking down at me talking about take out the trash. I did this.
This is the sacrifices.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
man, you ain't right.
I'm not right, but like I said, you can't teach height. You got to breed it in. That's my line. I'm standing by it. Tried and true.
I think my youngest one is going to end up being tall. I can remember before he was born telling my wife, I think this is going to be our big boy. And right now he's sort of sprouting up and catching up to the 10th grader, even though he's in the 7th grade. And it's looking pretty evident that he's going to be a little bit taller.
Yeah, and boys, they sprout late too. Like they'll have like a last growth spurt when they're like 19, 20. Like where'd that come from? Like you have one more sneak in there. So that's funny. What was I gonna say? So you're into photography.
I love it, man.
What got you into photography?
It was
all this talking, you ain't stumble across it. Go ahead, tell me what happened.
It was a free hobby at the time because I started with my Motorola Droid X smartphone.
Okay. And
I was walking around on one of my little 15-minute smoke breaks from work. I don't smoke, but damn that. I'm going to take it.
If they get the break, I get the break.
Yeah. So I was walking around this little lake that we had back there and something was pretty. And I was thinking, oh, that's pretty. I should take a picture of it. And it came out really well. And I just decided, okay, well, let me see if I can do it again with another day or another scene. And it came out really well. Now, granted, a lot of that was based on the technology we had was pretty good at the time. And I didn't really understand composition and stuff like that. So I started digging more and more into composition and techniques and things like that. And just got hooked. And it's therapeutic, you know. I love the process more so than I love the final output, you know.
You're like a sensitive soul. You are you're the thing I've known about you out of two stories is you get struck with epiphanies from a twinkling butterfly light. You're like, you know what?
That's it. I
should do this for the rest of my life.
It's called simple pleasures, cuz. Simple pleasures. Every single day, I strive to enjoy little simple pleasures of life. It is 10:56 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I'm having a beer.
Because you're a grown man. Can't nobody
stop you.
I'm
a grown man, and it's a simple pleasure for me on Saturday mornings to have beer for breakfast. I love it.
Yeah.
You know.
So the thing that I'm gonna get back to photography, but the thing about America that always drives me crazy is like if you travel internationally, like it's not a big deal for somebody to have a beer for breakfast.
Nope.
It's not anything weird to see a boob on TV.
Nope.
You know, it like when I was in Germany, I'm like, oh wow, y'all drinking like for breakfast. He's like, yeah, we have a beer with breakfast. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and they have like the different levels of beer. He's like, look, it's not a Stein or anything, but we just have, you know what I mean, like a fruit beer, a cider, whatever, but it has alcohol in it. He's like, you know, it's not a work day, so
why not?
I'm gonna go do what I want to do. And people here just have so many stigmatisms and things put on stuff, and they try to keep everything from kids, and they try to keep everything from adults, and now it's just getting worse because we're all so offended. So enjoy that beer, brother. I
plan on it.
I'm a hard liquor guy, not a beer guy. But we'll talk about the drinks in a minute.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on, OJ. Look, hold on now. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, you just keep it on standby, huh? You just got just in case shit get real.
I'm a Scotch man first. You know, I love me some Scotch before I love my beer, but beer for breakfast goes.
So I'm not really a big whiskey drinker. I'm an occasional Scotch drinker, like if it's the right Scotch, I'll sip on it. Recently, my buddy's been trying to get me more into whiskey. He took me to a whiskey bar, and they made these crazy exotic drinks where everything tastes fantastic, but it's all made from whiskey. And my new thing is a green tea shot. Have you ever had one of those?
Have not.
Oh, my God. Dude, it's made from whiskey. It tastes like green tea. Like
Huh.
it tastes like green tea. Like it is amazing. And not for nothing, is whiskey. So like we got one, and I was like, man, this tastes good.
All right.
He's like, yeah, that's whiskey. I'm like, I don't even like whiskey like that. So then by the end of the day, I was like, yo, can we get like a drink of this? He's like, well, you can't have a drink of it because they're shots. So I was like, well, just make us like 4 shots of it.
4 shots.
And so he ended up pouring us a cup. He's like, whoa. He's like, this is technically 8 shots because you can't really make it like that. And I'm like, whatever. So we sipped on that thing. I sipped on that thing slow for the rest of the day, and I was righteous. But a green tea shot. Go check out your local bar, see if your bartender knows how to make it, and hit me back on Twitter or figure out how to make it yourself. But it's delicious.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I normally drink all of my whiskeys neat. Every now and then I'll do a ice ball, but most of the time just give me 2 fingers neat, and I'm a happy man.
Have you if you drank green tea, and you know how sometimes green tea can be refreshing, man, this thing, woo! Like I said, I was like, man, I don't know, man. That thing got me, boy. It had me be an alcoholic up here. I sip one of them morning, noon, and night. This is one at a time. You know what I mean? Keep it loose. Anyway, back to photography. The lake got you. You fell in love on a lunch break. What do you shoot with now? What's your main camera?
I'm still shooting Canon Rebel, but if I need to rent something, I'll go and rent something. But most of the time, I'm shooting Canon Rebel or with my Pixel.
Okay.
And the crazy,
the original Pixel.
I have the Pixel 2 now.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is, speaking of the original Pixel, there's been a handful of my images that I've sold to people online that were shot with the original Pixel, and they wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
It's the tool in your hand and your composition.
Yeah.
And that's something that I try to stress to the people that watch my videos and things like that, is don't get too wrapped up into gear. Get something that's going to help with the fundamentals of it. Like right now I got these little cheap, inexpensive light boxes.
Yeah.
But they really help.
Yeah. I shoot Canon. So right now my main shooter is an 80D. I had the Mark III.
Mm-hmm.
I sold it to my friend because his wife was getting into photography and she wanted the Mark IV-R, and I'm like, it's garbage. Don't buy it. Like, I don't like it. I don't want it. I was like, look, you don't need it. And I was like, I'll sell you this cheap and I'll downgrade. He's like, how are you going to downgrade? I'm like, again, like what you said, I'm like, it's not really about the camera per se. That camera's a beautiful camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I'm going to upgrade when the 5 comes out, because the 4, though it always does photography well, I need something that really does video well. And it does. They still don't have 4K.
They're not there yet. Mm-mm.
So I'm like, I don't need to upgrade, and I've had this camera for a while anyway. Let me sell it to you, and I'll just rock with this 80D, because at least for the video, it has autofocus and stuff. So I'm using this as my standby until Canon does what they're supposed to do. But you're definitely right. People, whether I went from that $3,000 camera down to this $800 camera, it's not about that as much as it is, my eye.
Mm-hmm. Right.
and the editing.
And I've had clients, I should say prospective clients in the past, where the first thing they ask me is, what kind of camera you use? I'm trying to get off that phone. Yeah. I'm trying to get off that call, because you don't care about the art. I can come in here and shoot with my smartphone and still give you a hell of a product.
Yeah.
Heck, I did a headshot shoot for a comedian with my Pixel.
The Pixel is that's why when I ran on Apple, I'm like, yo, Google quiet as kept has the best camera out there on the phone.
Yeah. They just don't have the same buzz as the Samsungs and Apples of the world.
They don't care about the marketing the same. Like they're like, look, we do this marketing for our 3 months and then we're done.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the people that are going to buy it are going to love it, and they're going to stick with us, and that's how they go about it.
Yep.
They're not trying to make a bajillion phones because they have other things to sell and do.
Right.
So, I have an LG ThinQ, and I like the camera on that a lot. It's very crisp. It's got the super wide angle. So I'm shooting with that a lot. What kind of drone do you have?
I have an Autel X-Star as far as my photography drone.
Okay.
And it's they're the DJI competitor or whatever. That's their whole spiel was you get support from here in the US and it comes with a detachable gimbal. So if you wreck your drone, you don't necessarily have to replace the whole drone. You might could just replace the camera itself, things like that. It was modular, and I love that thing. It cost me about $300 less at the time than the Phantom 4, and it just does just as much as the Phantom line does.
So I have a Mavic Pro, which I just sold and shipped off yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to go to the Mavic 2.
I'm thinking about that one myself. The sensors and things that they have in it is really it's really pushing me over the edge because I've crashed so many times.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what I was about to get to. The difference is that, like, I'm a novice flyer, so just even having the front detection helped me and saved me a lot.
Yeah.
I actually never crashed a drone.
Oh man, you ain't been flying enough.
Yeah. No. I fly, but like I'm one of those people. As soon as I get like the wind warning, oop, bring it back. All right, we're done. Cool. Like I just don't mess around. My friend flew it. First 10 minutes in the flying, he crashed it. I'm like, and that's what they say. The first 10 minutes, you crash it. Like,
Yeah.
I think the first 2 or 3 days, I just went out to the football field, and my whole
Yeah.
thing was just whipping it up and down the field, going
Yeah,
through the
'cause it's
goalposts
wide.
and going around and just figuring out my left, right. And so I got to the point after that when I knew what I was doing, I just went and flew.
Yeah.
But I don't fly as much as you do. But so my issue right now is when you talk about the sensors, I just can't make up my mind whether I'm going to get the Hasselblad or the Zoom, and I really think I'm going to get the Zoom, even though it doesn't have the 1-inch sensor.
I think for most people, that's probably the better way to go. Going with the Hasselblad, most people are not going to quite understand the editing flexibility you're going to get with that. So there's really no sense in investing in that thing. Get the zoom and you can at least get a larger image.
Yeah.
That's still not as pixelated.
And my thing with it is, I could shoot more sports without being on top of them.
Yep.
Like, I fly it out sometimes during practice or when Leah's training and stuff like that, and
Yep.
it's distracting. Kids look up. If I can zoom in 3 or 4 times without it being an optical zoom,
Yep.
that means I could be higher up with less noise and distraction and still get a tighter frame on it. So that's where I'm going. But
it looked really impressive from a quality standpoint.
Yeah, and I'm just really bad with technology where, not that I need to buy a $5,000 drone or a $20,000 drone. Like when I say this, it's going to sound like that. I always feel like I have to buy the better version of what I'm going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So if they
You're
got one for
investing.
$1,500, I might as well spend the $1,500. But this is one where they made it so hard to choose because of that sensor. And I'm like, when do I shoot in low light? I just told you I'm a big punk when it comes to flying. I ain't flying in the dark. So how many night shots am I really going to shoot with that thing? I'm not.
And the thing is, I have, so that's why I've considered it. I've shot some cityscapes in the evenings,
Mm-hmm.
and people love that stuff, but it's really, really hard to process that. There's a lot of time in After Effects to try to get rid of the noise in those things.
Yeah.
But if I had a larger sensor, it would probably still be some noise, but it'll be a lot less than what I'm dealing with now. Sorry about the dog down there.
All right. What kind of dog is it? What kind of dog? You got a boxer?
He is supposed to be a pit bull mixed with a mastiff, but he looks like he's a pit bull mixed with a boxer.
Okay. Yeah, he looks. How much does he weigh?
He's right at 100 pounds right now.
Yeah, that's that mixed weight.
Yeah.
My pit bulls, like, I had one pit bull that was a boxer pit mix, and he got up to 110 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was so used to having pit bulls where they're like 50 pounds if it's a girl.
Yep.
65, 70 pounds if it's a boy.
Yeah.
Like, I just like the fact that my dog looks scary, but it's not going to jump me in the middle of the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? my brother got a cane corso, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Ooh,
he's like, oh, I just want a big dog. And I'm like, you're going to come home, and this dog's going to be sitting at the table talking about where's my dinner.
Man, that dog.
And sure enough, it ate him out of house and home. You know what I mean? I buy 40-pound, $40 dog food. I buy a bag once a month.
That's right.
That's it. That dog, he was spending like a good $120 a month on just feeding the dog. I'm like, dude.
I think I saw that dog at the squat rack this morning in the gym. Those dogs.
That's what they
Those
do.
things are beasts.
Yeah.
I got a friend that's got one. They are beasts.
They're out there getting it. I'm like, he's like, yeah, it looks like a pit bull. I'm like, yeah, it looks like it ate 4 pit bulls. Like, what are you talking about? It looks like a pit bull. So yeah, I'm not about that. I'll take the mixes if I get up around 100 pounds. 100 pounds is my max limit on the dogs. Like I said, I don't need a dog change his mind trying to beat me up. You know what I mean? That's why I tell people, like, oh, if my pit bull go crazy, I can just kick it across the yard. Mastiff go crazy on me, we're gonna be on the ground wrestling like I'm fighting a bear. And I'm not so sure I can take it. So
Man, see, now we also have a little teacup Chihuahua. He's the old one in the house. My wife and kids got him probably about 7 years ago. I didn't want a dog at the time, but they kept wanting dogs. The dogs we had prior to that just drove me nuts because it was always me doing the work. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing any more dogs. If you do a dog, y'all are going to take care of them. And sure enough, they did it. They stayed on top of it and got them. I helped get them house trained. Yeah. But after that, I was hands off. But yeah, he's still around. He's old. His breath stinks. Teeth falling out. But he's all right, And I wanted to get Kylo 2 years ago now, because I felt like we were ready as a family to have a dog in the house and actually take on some responsibilities. I can put in more time and do this and that, and plus it was going to give me another way to get cardio in, because I need to get more cardio in my life. And I figure if I'm walking the dogs, I'm going to be getting cardio. Yeah. And it's been fine ever since.
I see you out there living that drone life, taking the dog out. You taking the big dog out. You don't take the little dog out. I see.
Oh, both of them go. Both of them go. They both go at about 12 o'clock every day. Trust me, they'll come running in here in a minute, just looking at me like, all right, dude, we got our schedule.
Dogs are great. My dog passed away. I took a year off, which was nice too, because not having a dog after having a dog for so many years is also a relief. You can leave the house and I have to say, oh wait, we gotta get home to let the dog out or whatever. So and my daughter's old enough now where she's like, oh Dad, get another dog, and I'm like, all right, you're gonna do this dog work. And
that's right.
After like the first 2 weeks, she's like, how come I'm getting up in the morning and feeding the dog and cleaning up the poop? I was like, well, I'm in a situation where I have my daughter half the week, like it's 50-50. Yep. So I said, so who's doing it the other half of the time you're not here?
That's right.
Like I am. So that when you're here, you do it. And,
that's right.
Now she gets up early from middle school. She gets stuff up at 6 o'clock. She feeds the dog, cleans up after the dog, gives the dog some water, gets herself together, and I get to sleep in until it's time to drive her to school. And I'm like, yeah.
I still don't get to sleep in. The kids get up before I do to get ready for the bus and whatnot, and they'll let them out when they get up. But he still has his whole little routine, I guess. Yeah. He'll walk in there and want to go back outside at like 7:30 or something like that. Because sometimes I try to sleep till about 7:30. Yeah. But he'll come walking in there and staring at the bed and whimpering like, "Dude, let's go, get up."
Yeah, we gotta get this. What was I gonna say? So you're in South Carolina, right? Is that
nope?
No, you were in South Carolina.
That's where I grew up. Okay. But right now, I'm right outside of Charlotte. I'm in this little tiny town right outside of Charlotte.
Charlotte freaks me out. The way the city is, I got lost in that 8 road ring that goes around the city.
485.
Man, I was looped on that thing going in circles. I'm just like, I keep saying, I'm in the going. How do I get off? And nobody would let me off. I couldn't get off. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's getting better.
I'm sure it's better for people to live there and know what they're doing. I was going to visit a girl out there, and I had no clue how I got off. Like, I actually had to I paid a cabbie to take me out of the city so I didn't get stuck in the ring again to get me off on my right exit. Because this was back before when you had a cell phone that had no GPS. Yep. So, you know what I mean? Trying to read a map and drive would kill you. So
it's still pretty rough. Yeah, it's still pretty rough, but they're getting better with some of the infrastructure over there because they're building more buildings now. So they have to have better infrastructure. Yeah. If they're going to build all these buildings, that means more people are going to be here. So you better fix it to where people can get in and out. You know?
So when you were in South Carolina, did you ever go to a beautiful amusement park called South of the Border?
Never heard of that.
What?
Never heard of that. When I was going to amusement parks back then, we were going to Carowinds and we were going to Six Flags.
So it's not even an amusement park. I'm being facetious when I say that.
Yeah.
But you've never heard of South of the Border?
The South of the Border I heard of, I thought was a restaurant.
So that's closer to what it's a restaurant. Okay. In their mind, it's a resort.
What?
In their mind, it's a resort. So when you're driving down 95 and you see South of the Border signs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lived with my dad in North Carolina for.
I gotta look this up.
I'm tell you.
Oh, wait.
The only place we got to go.
Okay, so now the missus is chiming in. Is like, I can't believe you ain't never been there.
Yeah.
Well, here, just come on in now. You might as well come on in.
See,
get on the camera
she knows
too.
What I'm talking about.
Come on in.
Great.
Come on in.
It's
come
horrible.
on in.
It's a horrible place.
That's what I'm saying.
Hi.
Oh, and this is my wife, Phoebe.
Oh, see, we all wear orange. We in the family. Okay, sis. You see? That's right.
Yes,
it's us.
We do. That's the color.
To me, it's Team Clemson today for one day only, but it's us. We in this together. That's right. We bleed orange.
Yes, yes. But I've been to South of the Border. That was the only place we got to go as kids. We went down there. It was.
So
I remember the stuff going on, the little boats in the water going around.
I ain't never heard this joint.
Okay, so now that you know, take your husband and his drone and let him go fly it around and look at this creepy, weird, scary place. I can't believe.
Still around?
The last time I went down there, the signs were still up. I don't know if they paid for perpetual billboards, but the billboards
don't mean nothing. Cause
okay, so when I went there, I thought I was going to die. Okay. I've been seeing the signs like for years, and my girlfriend comes down to visit. She's like, I saw these signs. What is that place? I'm like, you know what? I don't know. My dad was like, I don't know.
Gosh,
so like, let's go to South of the Border. So
it's on Google Maps. Oh my gosh, this is hideous.
So we're like 19 at the time. We drive down there. We get there like 8 o'clock at night. The sun just set. We go into a bar, and the restaurant, it looks like a diner from a hillbilly death camp.
Oh, this is hideous.
There's only two.
Thank you. That is probably the best way to describe it.
There's only two people in the bar. One dude has no teeth at the end. The other dude's got a trucker hat on. And this old lady comes over in her little diner outfit talking about, what can I get you? And I'm like, oh, crap. Well, okay. So where's the hotel at? They're like, oh, the hotel's across the street.
My dog just crashed my lights. My dog just crashed my light. One of my lights.
The dog got excited. See, this podcast ruined everything in the household. I done fried your brain with South of the Border. Dude, this place is so scary. I'll make it short. So we got a hotel room, and even though we were underage, they gave us champagne, right?
Champagne.
Because we got whatever the honeymoon suite was. It had a jacuzzi with a dome on it. The dome was so dirty, you couldn't even see out to see the sky. Because they never cleaned the thing.
That's probably the hotel room he stayed in, right?
Oh my gosh!
And so we're sitting there. She's like, "Oh, we got champagne. They didn't know we weren't 21. They gave us champagne. Drank the champagne. We both got sick, passed out because it was the cheapest trash champagne you could ever have." And then
that's probably why he doesn't know about that place.
Oh no! But you got to go take pictures of it. It's dilapidated. It's scary. It's like a horror movie.
I'm looking at these signs.
They probably have used it as the setup for a horror picture.
I thought we were going to die. I'm like, we got to go. She's like, we already came down here. We might as well stay. And not for nothing, she was white. That's why we stayed, because the black woman would have been like, yo, we out of here. We got to go. But she tricked me into staying, and then we ended up getting sick and almost drowning in the jacuzzi with some cheap champagne. They probably drugged us, now that I think about it. They probably drugged the champagne, and I'm on weird videotape doing something crazy. But yeah.
This looks horrendous.
It was. All I remember is we thought we were like playing games, like real deal stuff, and there was some boats in a water pond thing that went around, and you're supposed to that was the game. You just watched them go around.
The number one thing they had there were the fireworks you could buy.
Okay, well that's South Carolina.
So you could buy, like, they had like crazy setup fireworks. That was the only thing I was like, man, that was all right. Everything else, I'm lucky to be alive today. Your wife is lucky to be here today. Okay.
We went as kids. I think it's because it was so cheap. They let us go down there.
They probably paid you to show up. They're like, oh, bring your family down. We'll give you $5.
That's what happened, because my mama.
This is crazy.
That's yeah.
I think they got Pennywise running around. This is how scared this looks, man.
I really can't believe you grew up in South Carolina. You ain't never heard of it. It's a horrible place.
Because I didn't grow up in South Carolina, but I know that place.
Yeah, that place. See, it's scary.
And you went as an adult. Bless your heart.
You can keep that. Golly, see, that's over there off of 95.
Yeah, it's right off 95.
The beach.
Yeah, see, where I grew up I'm on the eastern part of the states where I grew up, the western part of the state where I grew up, near the Georgia line. See, that's way over there.
Does it look like it's still open?
Yeah, it does.
See? It was nice to meet you.
3.8 stars. He said, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Kylo over here sad because he's in trouble.
No, he didn't mean to knock over my light.
He is really sitting here like.
See.
Just laid down like this.
Oh, and I'm sorry for making your show not quite what it normally would be.
Oh, no, we're good. Like I said, my last show, Megan's dog started barking at the end of the show too. So it's something when you got dogs, just something you got to deal with and roll with. And since I'm not really a professional, I don't really give a hoot or Annie. It's my show. Your dog want to come in and say hi, I don't care. The wife want to come in and tell you that you ain't never been to a horrible, evil place. That's fine too. You know what I mean? We just doing what we want to do out here in these streets.
Oh man!
So
dude.
man. Don't go there. I was just joking. Don't ever go there. Don't take.
No, I don't plan on it, cuz it's not happening.
Unless you want to punish the kids, that's what you do. You tell the kids you going somewhere nice, and
that
then
looks so
and then you
bad.
roll them down there.
And I feel bad saying that because I know that's somebody's business. They trying to pay their bills and all of that, but at the same time, I'm not sleeping there.
I literally don't know how it stays open. I don't know how they make money. Because to me,
gotta be fireworks.
So that was like 19 years ago when I went. Like I said, I went when I was 19, and I was the only person there in the parking lot. Like I said, there were two people at the restaurant, and it was just us at the hotel. And the next day, it was a weekend.
Oh,
the next day, nobody else came. Yeah, I'm like, you can't survive as a business like that. So they must be getting money from the government for experiments or something. They got something coming in, some other kind of funds to keep that place afloat. Or like you said, the fireworks. We'll just go down there to buy that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that place is a crazy place. Yeah. That's free. At least
I'm going to have to ask my moms about it.
Yeah, your mom loved you. That's why she never take you there. Your mom said, I love my son too much. We ain't going there. I heard horrible things from old doctor. We ain't going there, never, ever. Okay, so this part where you can tell people where they can find you at and all that good stuff and what you got going on in these streets.
All right. Well, first off, I say go find me on YouTube and hit that subscribe and notification button.
Need that.
Just hit the subscribe button. That's youtube.com/Ant Pruitt. I'm the only one out there, so it's easy if you just put in Ant Pruitt, if that helps. And then you can go on over to Instagram, and I'm the same one over there, just Ant Pruitt on Instagram.
I will link those things, obviously, also. I will also tell anybody who's still listening, my secret photography page that I don't post to, is Latin James on Instagram. I shoot a lot of like suicide girl model type stuff and things like that, and then I shoot like older kids, like kids that are like 7, 8, 10, 12, 15. So it's like one of those things where I don't advertise because people, again, we talked about earlier, stigmatism.
People get judgmental.
Yes, and I'm like, well, it's photography to me, and this is what I like to do. And it is what it is. But you can find me if you're listening. That's a secret gym pro tip for you because I don't share it out to the public. I don't even post a lot to it. But if you're out there listening, and you want to go see some of the stuff that I shoot. That's where it's at. Also, for me, if you're broke, and you have no money, just hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Like Ann said, do that for both of us because we both appreciate that. If you're still broke, you can just follow me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. It's always Doctor. If you have money, if you have $1, you can go put it up on the Patreon. I greatly appreciate you. Matter of fact, if you're listening to this episode and you give me $1, I'll call you and say hi. We could talk for 5-10 minutes. That's how much I appreciate you. And I know
that's
that
what's up.
You want to give out $1. I'll holler at the people in these streets. I appreciate you for being on the show, brother. I appreciate the time.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Go Orange today. We out here.
Not Orange. That's Syracuse. It's Tigers.
It's Tigers. Sorry, Tigers. See, I'm trying to get the lingo down. I'm wearing orange. Your wife wearing orange. You wearing gray because it's an away day. I get it. We good. I apologize, but we all Tigers today. Round. Say goodbye to the people, Ant.
Hey, folks. Thanks for having me, man. Y'all take it easy out there in these streets.
And we're out.